our methods are effective. It also helps as a great resource for clients.
I understand.
You know,
we watched some of your videos too before we
sure.
started.
Excellent. Yeah. So you're aware.
Yeah.
So Pickle, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
And I just read real quick. It seems like some reactivity stuff, was it?
Yeah, it's pretty much. I mean, it's pretty easy to pinpoint. I mean, it's anything on wheels. Like motorcycles are horrible. Scooters, skateboards, sometimes runners. You know, anything that kind of surprises her or that she doesn't like the sound of.
Sure.
And unfortunately, that sometimes translates into little kids.
Sure.
You know,
yeah.
so I mean, I wouldn't call her aggressive. Although the whole reason for doing this is she's scary. You know what I mean? You see a dog lunging at you.
Oh,
and,
sure.
and
Yeah.
It's scary.
Big dog.
Yeah. So, but she loves people. She loves other dogs. Loves other dogs. There's one dog in our building that she hates. And it's because I really think it's because he's older.
He's just old Springer.
Very aloof. He
doesn't react. I don't think he hears well, you know, and she just goes nuts.
Sure.
She's like, if a dog's aggressive towards her, she doesn't care. I mean, she just loves it. Any attention is good attention for her.
But for this old Springer guy.
Yeah. And it's just weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Sure.
So that's really what, and the other thing is, she likes to take long walks. She needs it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Towards the end, she'll go through kind of a zoomy phase, but it also involves like nipping, particularly at me.
Yeah.
And it's gotten kind of hard for me to walk her by myself on a long walk, which I would like to correct.
Sure.
You know, I'd love to be able to walk her over to the lake and do that kind of thing, because there's no reason she couldn't do it physically.
Sure,
know?
right, yeah.
So,
I'm sorry, how old is she?
she's about a year.
Okay.
So we adopted her last November. We did the puppy from Paws. We did the puppy training.
Sure.
We started with a private trainer from Anything Is Possible. Then the holidays came, and I was like, I'll get on this in January. Well, I got cancer.
Oh.
There was COVID. I'm good now. I'm all cancer-free. A few months, but I'm in good shape. And then I literally finished radiation, and like 10 days later, we took off for 2 weeks in an RV with her and drove across the country. So we got back, and now it's time to kind of
Get things back.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of our time frame.
So anything is possible in pause training, and I are like.
I know you.
Yeah.
Yes, I
That's what we were
understand
aware.
that, and I think we need you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll explain everything and stuff. You know, I'm not against positive reinforcement. I think it's like a lot of people think that. And I'm like,
I think
no.
it's a combination.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's a balance.
Yeah.
When I come in, because I do get a lot of dogs that are they've had several failed trainers, or they've already done positive, right? So
Right.
then, or the owner's just there's so much anxiety about the behavior that I go, let's not worry about this. Let's worry about the stuff that's going to get us the results right away.
Yeah.
And then, if needed, we can incorporate it, but most of the time it's not even necessary.
Right.
Yeah, because I think once we get a handle on this, otherwise she's this loving, wonderful dog.
Sure.
And
she has, we got one of those citronella collars for her. We haven't even had to use a citronella, we just put like a banner canister in there.
Okay.
And that works really well. Like now, it's just you put it on her and she'll calm down.
Okay.
It's like if she'll like
Right.
in the
At night.
evening,
Yeah.
she'll go through this phase where she gets kind of obnoxious and just can't settle down.
Sure.
When you put the collar on her, she immediately just settles down.
Sure.
so she associates the collar with, with a it's a calming.
Calmness, right? It's the threat of consequence essentially is what sells it.
Yeah, so she responded so well to that, we thought maybe this would be a good route to go.
Okay.
Because I don't know how, like, I sometimes carry treats, I don't have any right now.
Right.
She seems worse with me at the end of a walk if she knows I have treats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Sure.
she has not responded well to that. Except she does touch, she'll fetch him in our apartment, she'll do, that kind of stuff. And there are treats involved. So.
Gotcha. And that's just like here. So you see how she keeps chewing the stick here?
Yeah.
Yes.
So a few things that you've talked about. One, we have what I feel is a nervous dog. That's why she's reacting towards the noises, the skateboarders, the rollerbladers, all that stuff. And then the kids thing tends to be a nervous dog.
Okay.
Okay. nothing good or bad. It's just it is what it
It
is.
is what it is. Exactly.
But also overstimulation, which is where this is coming from. All this chewing, right? So like right now, I just started training 2 or 3 new puppies. They're about
Okay.
6 and 7 months.
Okay.
Same deal during the consultation. There's like a lot of this nonsense. One of them actually slipped out of her harness and like took off.
Yeah.
And then did their first class of training just this week, and then they were completely calm by the end of the class.
Well, that's great.
The owner's like, what? And I'm like, it's discipline. Discipline is healthy.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. You set boundaries. It's just like
Exactly.
we did with our kids. You set
And
boundaries for
she
your
needs
kids.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, it's going to be better for her. It's going to be better for us.
We hope she lives to a ripe old age, and we want, 15 years of enjoyable dog.
Yeah, the more
relationship.
the more control you have and the better she behaves she is, the more she's going to get to do.
Right.
How all this stuff plays out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, as you must be aware, I specialize in remote collar.
Yes.
Have you ever been to a physical therapist or a chiropractor?
Yes.
Have you ever had stem therapy, which is the muscle, you stimulate the muscles?
Oh, I've had some. Yeah, I mean something like I know what you're talking about. Yes, I've
Yeah.
had something
On the back or yeah.
chiropractor. Yes.
Yeah. So it's the same technology. Okay. So it's a muscle contraction.
Yes.
People tend to think it's
Yeah.
like a taser or like a electricity.
Right.
So I say it's electric, but not electricity.
Yeah.
So you're not electrocuting your dog.
Yeah.
If you hear anybody say that, they're ignorant or they're just using terminology that's they're trying to scare you.
Right.
You can go to Walgreens, look in the back section, and they have things called TENS, TENS units. It's
Okay.
the same stuff.
Yeah.
And they
Okay.
use it to ease back pain.
Yeah.
They use it to break up scar tissue.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of thing where it tenses the muscle and then
Correct.
relaxes it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they use it to recreate labor contraction pains in men.
Okay.
Because it's very,
Yeah, yeah.
but obviously labor contractions are uncomfortable.
Yes.
So they're uncomfortable, but it's the same technology. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's just a muscle contraction. There's 2 probes in the collar that make contact with the neck.
Okay.
And then that's where she's feeling the stem. She would not feel anything anywhere else.
Okay.
Okay, so there's no current running through the body.
Yeah.
So it's not like sticking your finger in an outlet, or it's not like being a
Right.
taser. It's centralized.
So she's
and
not going to light up and her skeleton's going to
exactly. Like you can't put a light bulb on her and it's going to turn on. So, so when it comes to the TENS unit or the e-collar, the reason why it's so effective is because dogs are disciplined. Right? They correct their puppies by nipping and biting.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
Exactly.
And dogs don't give each other treats.
Right.
They don't raise their puppies with treats and things like that.
Right.
There's consequence, there's another consequence.
Yes.
The treat stuff is human, which it can work. Like you can teach things and lure things and stuff like that.
Right.
But like here, she went from one thing to another thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like her brain doesn't have the ability, at least right now, to turn off.
No, you're
Okay.
right. You're right.
And e-collar will actually allow that to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which would be more comfortable for her.
Yeah. This is not healthy.
No.
Okay.
And she's not happy. She's doing this because she's uncomfortable. with something.
Yeah, all this stimulation has to go somewhere,
Right.
and she's directing it on the environment, which is fine, right?
Yeah.
But like if she ingests something because she's constantly chewing on stuff, like it's gonna be
Well, we
not
are
healthy.
careful.
Well, we
yeah.
had- yeah,
we have
we
to
had a
limit.
problem.
We have to watch how much wood she
We had a problem early on because she was eating so much wood.
Yeah.
Plugging her
And
up.
she was a puppy. She couldn't process it.
Yeah, so all that stuff we can correct using the e-collar. That's
Okay.
not a problem if it doesn't correct itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and if you want an idea of what I'm talking about, I know you watch some of my videos, but if you go to my channel, my YouTube channel, I made a playlist called Dog Training or Client Highlights.
Okay.
And it's where I take a session where I was like, man, this is a really good example. And I break it down, so it's not an hour, it's like 10 to 15 minutes, but I'm
Okay.
explaining what's going on.
Okay.
And the one video in particular is Ruthie,
Okay.
who is a 6-month-old doodle puppy.
Okay.
And she was nervous of everything, would bark at people that would walk towards her, like just constantly all over the place.
Yeah.
And they did one class, and it was complete 180.
Wow.
The dog was completely calm, sitting down right here in the middle of a hut park, just calm.
That's great.
And they're like, that was so quick. I'm like, it's because of the discipline and the structure,
Yeah. Exactly.
And that's how I
Exactly.
would perceive this to work.
Okay, that's good to hear.
So it's not the obedience that actually helps her settle down.
Right.
It's the discipline behind it.
Right.
It's actually the contraction. It's the being nipped and bit on
Right.
pressing a button
Right.
for things that we don't want.
Right.
Is what helps settle for them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
How I approach this is the first thing that we always teach a dog, as long as there's no really severe aggression issues, is leash walking.
Yep.
So my style of heel is if I take one step, the dog takes one step. I take 5 steps, the dog takes 5 steps. When I stop, the dog automatically sits. This is the completely slack leash. Okay. I don't care what the environment. This is why we're here at Oz.
I love that you do it here.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think
Because we're
it's perfect.
outside.
Yeah.
We're not in a room where it's
Right.
quiet. We're not behind blinders or whatever they call
And
them.
I don't want to do any remote cleaning because that doesn't do any good either.
Yeah.
My apartment, that's a totally
Oh,
different
sure.
deal.
Well, and then
as opposed
she'll do it inside, but she doesn't do it outside. You know, I
Yeah,
think-
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I work outside, but because of COVID, having people travel to me and meeting at one place, and this is the busiest park in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's great, and it's in our neighborhood, so it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just nearby. Yeah. So we train here, so it's very realistic, right?
Yes,
so then
very,
I tell
I
people, if
agree.
you can get your dog to listen here, anywhere else would not be a problem.
Right.
Okay. Leash walking typically takes 2 classes.
Okay.
And then, like in your case, like after the first class, we would see what does it fix.
Yeah.
You know, so like here, because with her chewing and stuff, you might find after we do that first class, you're like, hey Jesse, she actually stopped all that chewing behavior
Okay.
because she finally relaxed and settled
Right.
down.
Right.
So if that's the case, then we just continue to progress,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, you just
Great.
kind of see where she is.
And then we go
Yes,
class
that's
by
it.
class. So there's no real cookie cutter method other than I know the first class is almost always going to be the deal.
That's
Okay,
good.
good.
When it
That's
comes to
great.
the reactivity towards the skateboarders and all that stuff, that would it's again same deal, kind of play that by ear. The difficulty with that is having, like, we do get skateboarders, we get rollerbladers, we get bikers,
Yes.
we get strollers here,
Yeah.
but we wouldn't get like segways or like motorized bikes.
Yeah.
Yep,
If
yep,
she has
exactly.
issues with those things.
You know,
Yeah.
it's more motorcycles. It's
Motorcycles.
even like she doesn't even really seem usually that upset by those new electric scooters. It's more
Okay.
things that make a noise.
Sure.
Like she hates the sound of skateboard. You know, I think that's
Right,
what drives
exactly.
her.
Sure, yeah, and it's super common
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
skateboarders.
But it's motorcycles and mostly like Harleys. I mean, it's something where it's that real distinctive, bass sound in
Sure.
the exhaust. She hates buses.
But she does the same thing with scooters.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
she'll do the same thing with a loud car, though. Just that same,
I gotcha.
yeah,
Okay.
unmuffled
Yeah.
kind of engine sound.
I would, because it's so much stuff, I would gamble that actually the first class should resolve that stuff. I think we're going to have the problem is skateboarders
Okay.
because they're kind of sporadic.
Yeah.
Like you could just be walking and all of a sudden skateboarder,
Yeah.
right? Whereas like motorcycles and things like that
She's
are
gonna
more
hear it coming.
consistent.
Yeah.
Right.
So and that's pretty common.
And I feel like, since you said there's so much stuff, this isn't really something, it's not specific to each thing. It's like poor anxiety in there
The
that's
nervousness.
Yeah,
really
so that's kind of
causing
driving
her to-
everything.
Correct.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah. That's how, like, when people come to me with their dog issues, anxiety, fear, and nervousness look similar, but have their differences.
Right.
Okay? Nervous energy tends to trigger when something just, like, abruptly happens, or if
Okay.
there's, like, loud
That's
noises.
interesting.
Anxiety wants to move around a lot. They're unable to settle.
Yeah.
So she's unable to settle, but it's not because she's anxious.
Right.
It's because
Okay,
she's
that's
overstimulated.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay?
That's good to know.
Fear
That's
wants to run away.
Gotcha.
Okay? So that's why I was like, she seems like a nervous dog because of all the things that you're saying that
That's
trigger her.
interesting. Good to know. Yeah.
And then overstimulation is just a lack of boundaries.
Right.
You know, so it's like a kid. If you don't tell them no, like everything is an option,
Yes.
and then they're
Yes.
just like they're just on go all the time.
Right.
Okay.
Exactly. And I mean, living in the city, they are on go because everything. There's so much stimulation.
Exactly. There's so much
Yeah.
stuff going on.
Right,
And that's
right.
because we had her on our trip. We took her on a hike. We were out in Wyoming, in the woods, and she was great. I mean, because she, there was some stuff. I mean, obviously she went after a lot of wood, but she was just more relaxed. There wasn't so much
Exactly.
going on.
And it's super common. Like I'll get clients that move from like the suburbs to Chicago
Right.
or like Quiet Town, Michigan, and then once they move here, their dog has reactivity,
Yeah.
super anxious, very nervous, like just like all over the place. I'm like, it's because like this here, you got a crowd of people there, you got this traffic here, you got like tennis going on over there. That's all energy
It's
to
all
the dog.
stimulation.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So when you go from a quiet place to a place like Chicago, especially South Loop Chicago, it's
yeah.
tons of stimulation.
Right, exactly.
That the dog doesn't know how to handle all that
Of
stress.
course.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah. So with the healing exercise, it helps her to focus on the handler through discipline and consequence, right?
Right.
Going like, if you don't do this, there's going to be physicality,
Right.
okay?
Right.
But then when she learns how to focus in, it allows her to take in the environment without being on edge. And then that's how she learns to like just go like, oh, okay, like this isn't that bad, and I don't have to be constantly
Right.
chewing on things to
Right.
direct that stress or that frustration.
Right, and again, it will be more comfortable for her.
Yeah, I mean mentally and emotionally, like
Right.
you know, it's like someone that's like constantly on edge. And
Horrible, yeah,
it's
it'd be
unhealthy.
awful. Yeah.
So that's how I would expect this case to work.
Okay, that's good to know.
Now, when it comes to like length of time and how long it'll take, it really comes down to how much control you're wanting. Because your case itself, behaviorally, to me seems minor.
Good.
Okay.
Good to know. That's great. Yeah, and I mean, neither of us is like super controlling.
And that's the thing. I mean, I don't.
just want her to be able.
I just want her to walk, like not pull me. You know what I mean? Or just have these episodes where she just goes completely.
I mean,
you know.
And with the kid thing, is it just like if she sees kids running, she starts barking?
yeah, or
Well, a lot of times what'll happen is just like if they come up behind her on the street, like especially on a scooter, she'll like lunge at him, you know.
Sure.
She doesn't try to bite him.
Sure.
It's just it's terrifying.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just
I would
impulsive.
love for her to be able to, I mean, we don't have grandkids yet, but hopefully in her lifetime we will, and that's not an issue,
Sure.
I mean, but again, I think you're right. I think it's all sort of linked together.
Yeah.
And I mean, the only thing I would love for her to be able to do is run a little bit off.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think she would enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, well, dogs aren't meant to be on a leash.
Right.
That's human contraption, right?
Yep.
So the way I would go about this then is you definitely have to do the leash walking. That's 2 classes. And the next thing she would need to know is recall, which is the common call.
That's good.
That's what allows you to have that off-leash freedom.
Yes.
That typically takes around 2 classes as well.
Okay.
And then the one thing would be seeing how does she do with kids.
Yeah.
Now I do have exercises so that you can socialize her if you would like to see what she's capable of.
Yeah.
Now let's say it's a random kid on the street and stuff, and maybe she doesn't take well to it. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
It doesn't mean it will be like that with the family, because she would see those children on a repeating basis.
Right.
But I would still I would still say do it this way. There's a structure to it, and then it would be time before she opens up to them.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. That's
Like
good to know.
that's like worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And again, we can just sort of see how she progresses.
Correct.
Before but I agree.
That's right. So when it comes to the e-collar and stuff, because of COVID, I don't even need to touch the dog. I just coach you guys.
That's great.
Okay. Most of my clients, I want to say 95% of the clients that we've had post-COVID has been hands-free of me. If I ever have to come in to help, it's with it's because it's a 2-person exercise. The recall is a 2-person exercise because you need 1 person to hold the dogs or the other person calls the dogs.
Right.
But other than that, everything from the beginning to the end, for the most part, is done completely through the owners themselves.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. And is this the reactivity?
I don't know what that's about.
So that's I see it looks like maybe a little bit of hackles.
Let's get her hackles up.
Sure. So what you'll do is go ahead and reel her in here. Go ahead and reel her in. There you go. And then you're gonna pull up and up. Yep. And then relax. Wait a moment. Up. And relax. Then pull to your side again. Wait a moment. And relax. Good. So the harness actually exacerbates reactivity. Just so you know. It intensifies behaviors 2 to 3-fold. Okay. And it's also because what happens is when a dog pulls forward, you saw she was pulling earlier.
Yeah.
Woo, right when she was barking, and that's an alert kind of nervous bark, the woo 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 part. There's nothing anything really behind it.
Right.
So it sounds like these people caught her off guard, and then she just triggered.
Yeah.
So then when you're pulling back, you're actually amping her up more.
Because it makes her want to pull forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I said just reel her in, because most people just pull back.
Yeah.
And what I do is I pull in with what you have. I just pull in, and then when you pull up de-escalates.
Oh.
Okay. Up de-escalates, back or up and back escalate. Okay. And everybody's usually back or up and back. Okay.
Yeah.
So when you shortened it and you pulled up, you could see her settle, and then when you let go, she went forward again, and you repeated, and then she's okay, and then something else got her attention over here.
Yeah.
Okay. But you were able to de-escalate that particular situation. Okay. So So harnesses are meant for pulling. Huskies to pull sleds, horses to pull carriages. So once she's trained, you could walk her in a regular black collar, and you'll get up to, you know, if you wanted, you can get up to off-leash obedience with the tool, right? Because that's what e-collar is for. It's not for off-leash.
Right.
But not everybody goes to that degree. They're just like, you know what, I want to walk my dog on a leash, and I want them to come in a collar, and they go, okay, here. But the methods are still the same methods.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, it's just a matter of whether or not the owner puts in enough work to get to the next
Right. I
level.
understand.
Okay?
Yeah.
So if your main concern is really like just like this reactivity stuff, the nervousness, and just like having some basic freedoms like being off leash and making sure that we can collar, the program I would suggest to you is the 6-week program.
Okay.
They have 3, 6, 9, and 12.
Right.
And the 6-week will allow 2 for the leash walking, 2 for the recall,
Okay.
and those 2 that are left over are 1 just in case maybe it's not panning out like I thought it would.
Right.
Maybe you are struggling with reactivity towards like skateboarders, and you're like, you know, we would really like to be able to address it. Then we can do a class on, all right, this is the approach how we usually address that problem. Okay. Or it can be, hey, we have a friend who has a child, and we'd like to learn how we would introduce her to children in that process. And it's really, I just teach and educate you, and then you apply.
That's
Okay,
great.
great.
Okay,
Perfect.
it's very straightforward. It's very simple.
Okay.
E-collar allows for the simplicity.
Yeah.
Okay. We don't have to worry about physical strength. We don't have to worry about treats. We don't have to worry about physically controlling the dog, because it's all about controlling the brain or controlling the dog mentally.
Right.
And then it's just like each class is how is it going? That's a review. You're essentially doing, you're like my report card, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I go, here's your homework for the week. I'll see you in a week. You come back. Jesse was great. Jesse was terrible. Right? Cool. And then up. And then relax. Good. And then relax a little more. Go back. Yep. And what I'm gonna have you do is go ahead and grab closer so you buy that more closer to the harness there. Now up. So when you're closer to where the clip is, you have more immediate leverage.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So little things like that just help, you know.
Good to know, yeah.
Because like earlier I worked with a lady, she was like, her dog was like 80 pounds
Yeah.
and reactive. And actually when I showed up, the dog had yanked her down and she had bopped her head on the dirt because the dog became reactive.
Right.
But she was, you know, giving too much slack. So as soon as I came in, like, okay, we need to do these changes because that's going to give you the most leverage.
Yeah.
Okay. So if, you know, if I come back and like, Jesse, everything's great, big change, well, awesome. It's doing its work. We just continue like I thought. If it's, hey, it was terrible, then I gotta probe a bit and go like, what was going on?
Okay.
Almost always, when people are having issues, it's they're too low in the collar
Okay.
because they feel bad.
Right.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Okay, so my collar goes 0 to 127 in increments of 1.
Okay.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way to 127.
Okay.
Cheaper brands will go to 10 or 5. 10 and 127 are the same.
Yeah. If
Oh,
I
but
have
we've got,
You got more.
So you got more adjustment.
Exactly, so I can really fine tune it to the dog.
That's great.
Okay.
So it's not 100 times.
Yeah, exactly.
10 times
So what happens
stronger
is,
than
and this has happened where we had a client who insisted on using a cheaper model, and I'm like, look, what's going to happen is 3 is going to be too much, and 2 is going to be too low.
Yeah.
So your dog is yelping or not listening.
Right.
And sure enough, the dog was yelping and not listening.
Yeah.
You know.
No,
So then I was
I
like,
think that's a good point. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. So I always tell people take, you know, and it's the tools. I've had mine going on 8 years. Dog over there. I've had mine for about 8 years. No issues. You know. The most common thing is the battery does die because it's a rechargeable lithium battery.
Yeah.
But you can replace it. They're like $15, $20. You
Okay.
pop it open.
Yeah.
You know, like that. It's like a cell phone battery.
Yeah.
Okay. But you plug it in, right? It's like
Yeah, you can plug it in.
yeah.
It's fully waterproof.
Okay.
The one that she would need is 3/4 mile range, so plenty of range for the standard family pet.
Good.
Well, that's
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
That's nice.
So that's why if she gets away, then
You
can
still have
stop.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I train for emergency situations. Like I train for real life is what I tell people.
Yeah.
That's good.
Okay. So like I had a client's dog here who was a nervous dog and got spooked by some. So up.
No.
Sorry, get it.
Yeah, now she's just getting a little zoomies here.
Yeah, she is. That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Well, she wants to see the dog.
Yeah.
That's her. Yeah.
But it looks. There we go. Good job. And then relax. Good.
So you get to see the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. I'm glad she's doing this for you.
Yeah, and that's nothing that I haven't seen.
No,
you know.
I'm glad.
I think I'm at a point in my, I've been doing this 10 years, like in my career, like it's very rare. I just actually had the first consultation that I was like, I've never seen this before, and it was a dog that when it became too stressed would have a seizure.
Oh, we had a dog that had.
Did you do? Yeah. So I've had dogs that had seizures, but not due to stress.
Right.
No, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, but then when they told me about it, I was like, I can see that happening. And it took them a while before their vets would even believe them.
Yeah.
But then when I told them, I was like, I don't know if I could even train your dog because the e-collars are stressing.
Right.
And I was like, I'm thinking it would induce a seizure with your dog.
Yeah.
So, and that's the first time I'd ever come across that.
That's, yeah.
You know?
But I imagine you've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah, like that I've seen, like this, I see this all the
I'm
time.
sure
You know,
yeah.
especially with the younger dogs.
Yeah.
But yeah, the collar, it's the one that she would need runs about $287 with tax.
Okay.
You can get them on Amazon.
Okay.
Maria would send you the make and model.
I was going to say, as long as you can send us.
Yeah, she'll send you all the information.
Yeah. That's
But it's about $287, but it'll last you a long time.
Okay.
I've had mine for 8 years. Now, one of the most common questions I get is when does the e-collar go away? Okay. In my book, when you need it, it's on.
Yeah.
Okay. Forever.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So if she's a great dog in the house, you don't need it.
Right.
But if it's like we're gonna go for a walk, you know, we're gonna be walking outside for an hour, she's gonna be off leash, you would need it.
Yeah.
Now you're not always using it.
Right.
She's trained. She knows everything, right?
Right.
But it's like I was at the client in Palmer Square and someone set off a random firework during a training session, and it spooked the dog. The dog was already an anxious dog as is, and the dog kept scattering, you know, and going all over the place.
Right.
So then I was like, well, welcome to life.
Right.
But this is
stuff's going to happen.
yes. But the e-collar allows me to feel to know that even if that happened, I still have a means of getting my dog back.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
So I've had dogs run off because of fireworks. I had a client's dog. They were like walking their dog off leash, and then when they turned around, their dog was nosing a coyote, and they were to just pull their dog right away with the recall. But he was like, man, he's like, because his wife hated the dog.
Yeah.
She was completely against it in the beginning, but then he was like, I'm so happy that we did this because I don't know what would have happened if my dog delayed. Because he was like, they were nose to nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I called them and boom, each 180 came back to me. Like, that's why we do this stuff.
Well, I had a couple of experiences with her where one time I was walking and we were over by North Pond, and it was right, you know, when COVID first started and the park was closed. And she wanted to go to the pond. She pulled out of her harness.
Oh, sure.
And it took me 45 minutes to get her back.
Fortunately,
Because
she
it
didn't
was
run away.
it was a game.
She was just running
But it scared me to death because she's right by those two streets, and I didn't know she didn't go into
exactly
the
what you're
street,
talking
but
about.
she just like going around in circles. I couldn't get close to her. I mean, it was awful.
Right,
You know?
right. I actually had a client took their dog to the dog park without the collar.
Yeah.
And he took 40 minutes to like find like chase the dog and get the dog
In
on
the
the
park?
leash. Yeah. You know. So I completely get it. But then I was like, well, what does that teach you? And he's like, never go without the collar.
Right.
Like, there you go.
Have it for a reason. No, and I know it doesn't hurt her. I mean, we're not harming.
So
I mean, if we're letting
physically
her,
it's uncomfortable.
Okay.
Like the higher it goes, the more uncomfortable it is, right? Now when we come in, I don't come in going, let's go to 100.
right.
We start, so we use it much like they do with humans. They start low and they work their way up.
Until you can get the reaction.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what her number is going to be.
Right.
It could be 15. It could be 85. Right. But that's what I help you figure out.
That's perfect.
You know, because dogs are physical animals, they bite each other. That's how they relate to things.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know.
That's a good point.
So the e-collar is the only tool that can mimic a bite. I mean, a prong collar is well, the spiky looking one.
Yeah.
But the problem with the prong collar is if she's being reactive, and let's say she's like on a 15, and I correct her with the prong, but my harshness correction is only a 10, I'm not going to match the 15.
Right.
And then you have to do it. I mean, like I don't know. And I've never used a prong collar, so I don't know. But
It takes a bit more technical skill.
Yeah.
I love prong collars. They're safe to use.
Yeah.
They're very effective. But for the average dog owner, it's too much skill set.
That's why I didn't like it with her. There's just too much.
Too much going on.
Yeah, that drove me crazy. And I could never
We were
feel
not
like I
good
could
at
do it.
poker.
I know.
No, I know.
We were not good at that.
And then, you know, so I simplify it. I kind of removed all the BS where I'm like, this is not necessary.
Right.
And this is what's going to work and get the results the owners are wanting.
Okay.
So essentially after every class, we get the results. Okay, as long as the owner does what we're telling them, we get the result by the end of the class, and then I go, now you have to practice this. Okay.
Good.
So when you need it, it doesn't go away. It's nothing to do with the training. It has nothing to do with
Great.
with you guys. It's okay. It's because dogs are opportunistic. If she's like, oh, can I get away with this? She's gonna try it.
Yes.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
And it's the same thing with people. Like people on the expressway speed all the time, but there's a speed limit that they're aware of.
When you get caught,
Yeah.
it slows you down.
Exactly. Right. So if they see a squad car, they slow down. Otherwise, they speed. You know, because there's no further consequence.
Right.
So it's the same thing with dogs. Any questions so far?
No.
No, that sounds, I mean, it really sounds like a great method. I mean, you know, and she loves, when you said like dogs bite each other, I mean, she just went to daycare for a couple hours. She loves playing with her.
Yeah.
She loves it, and she, you know, she's rough and tumble, and
Yeah, they like.
But
They,
that's how they establish their limits too.
yeah, you know, they
Yeah.
use it for play. They use it for affection. They use it for rules. You know.
yeah.
And I've seen dogs like at the dog park slam into each other, like roll a few
Oh,
feet,
yeah.
and then get up, shake it off, and keep going.
Oh yeah.
Right.
You know, so their threshold for discomfort is very high.
Yeah.
Humans is low.
Yeah.
But the reason why the methods are so effective is because it comes from an approach that the dog understands. You know, and it's their communication. It's communication at the press of a button. And now with technology, everybody's very like button savvy.
Right.
You know, and
Exactly.
everybody's
It's
like, I
very
want it
easy to manage.
now. Is that it's more even for the human intuitive for them to do that
Yeah.
in terms of the training.
Yeah.
And all we would need is her on a regular collar with the e-collar, and then we just train out here.
That's great.
Great.
Okay.
She has a friend dog that she plays with, and if she gets too wound up, the dog will grab her by
It's
the
Luna.
lip.
Oh,
She's
you
know,
one
yeah.
of your clients.
Oh,
Yeah.
he has a
That's
referral too.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Luna just grabs her by the lip and she stops.
Sure,
You know?
sure. Yeah. That's the physicality.
Yeah.
You know, she's doing just enough where she knows that she'll cut it out.
Yeah.
But if she kept, you know, being a brat, then, you know, there's nothing to say that it doesn't escalate
Right,
absolutely.
to,
exactly.
you know, stop. That's just how dogs
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we
Yeah, I've trained a batch of dogs over there in Trevis.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
Luna, Nash, Roxy, Shadow, Ruthie,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then I believe there's one more. I think there's like 6 dogs that. Oh, Winnie just started, and there's another Winnie in that neighborhood.
There's a Winnie over there that she
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah, the golden, and then
Yeah,
Winnie the
yeah.
chocolate lab puppy.
I
Yeah.
don't remember which
Yeah.
one it is, but she knows one. She knows a Winnie over there.
Yeah,
So,
they both
Yeah.
they're both starting with me as well.
That's great.
So,
Yeah.
Other questions?
No, I think
How do we schedule? I mean,
Maria, so Maria will get in contact with you.
Okay.
She'll send you the make and model that I suggest,
Okay.
which is a dog for $2,300.
Okay.
You get on Amazon.
Great.
I suggest you read the manual, fiddle with it, make sure it works. When you get your remote, you should mess with it. It should go in increments of 1, 2, 3, you know. But if it jumps from like 10 to 30 or something like that, you may have gotten a lemon.
Okay.
You want to exchange
Okay,
that.
we'll get
Okay.
it. We'll get it ordered. You know, as soon as I get the information from Maria, then we can. You know, we'll be ready.
Yes, and then she'll send you a contract form and all that stuff.
Okay.
And then she'll handle the scheduling in terms of you know, time and stuff. I've learned not to talk about my calendar because it changes
I understand.
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee any issues here. This is a pretty standard case for me.
Good.
Great.
Good.
And then I mean Ruthie, who, you know, she actually is over in the neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
Her videos, her highlight videos, are a great one to watch.
I will
Okay,
look
good.
If
at
you're
that.
trying to like get an idea of like what did he mean, right? Is
Yes.
you'll see her kind of spazzy, and then after the class, you see her just nice and calm.
Yeah.
And then her owners just comment on like how much she calmed down
Yeah.
after her class.
This is good. This is digging.
Well, she wants that room.
Yeah.
She's frustrated,
Yeah.
like standing still. In the beginning, not uncommon to see some stress responses like shaking, salivating, and things like that because it's discipline.
Yeah.
No one likes discipline, but you just keep exposing and practicing, exposing and practicing,
Yeah.
and then that stuff goes away with time.
Great.
Okay?
Okay.
Some dogs get over it real quick. Some dogs take a little longer. You know, just depends. I can't give you a concrete answer there.
Well, I kind of wonder. I mean, I know that little sport collar is nothing. It's very, I mean, it's completely different. But she does associate that collar
Oh, sure.
with calming, and you
Yeah.
know. So I'm hoping that bodes well for her how she responds to the collar.
And you may find that in the evening she starts to taper down, that you won't need the other collar. We'll see how
Okay.
that plays out.
Okay,
Okay,
good.
good.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, there are other ways of correcting that are without the collar,
Okay.
so that you're not constantly having to put that on her.
Yeah,
you know?
and I think you're right. I'm hoping that we can sort of just manage it with the one collar.
Yeah.
And But when she puts the collar, when you put the collar on her and she calms down, she's just almost so relieved. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's better for her. I mean, she's
Yeah.
happier.
Yeah.
You know.
Sure.
much happier. It rarely squirts anything. I mean, we don't really use it for barking because she's not a big barker.
Sure.
But
It's-
3/4 of the time it's empty anyway.
Well, no, it's not. I make sure it's full just in case she does bark
Yeah.
and she gets a
Oh, sure, yeah,
response,
so it's
'cause I don't-
consistent. That's
yeah.
true.
But I mean, she doesn't. That rarely happens.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
So we'll see how she plays, how it plays out.
Good.
I'm not, yeah, like I said, I've seen this so many times now. And
I didn't think she was particularly unusual.
Yeah, no, she's the standard, you know. She's a lab pit, right?
We think so. Yeah.
I mean, I can see it. I can see the shape in the head, but I can also see the lab and all that.
Yeah.
But we'll get in contact with you,
Okay.
and then she'll handle that. And if you have any questions, you just let me know.
Okay.
And then once you're signed up, I'll follow up with an email that'll have like some videos for you to watch
Okay, great.
to prep you for the first lesson.
Perfect.
And then this way you can come in and we just start the training.
That's
Okay.
great.
Wonderful. Yeah, we will.
Yeah.
So Maria will get in touch with you.
Correct.
Right? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Perfect.
And what's today? Saturday? Yeah.
Yes.
It may be Monday because I believe Sunday's her day off.
Okay.
Okay.
But
Okay.
no worries. She'll get in touch with you and she'll follow up with everything. Okay.
That's
Sounds
great.
good. In the meantime, we'll watch some of your videos. We'll watch the routine.
The
Yeah,
routine one, yeah.
definitely.
If you, it's a playlist. It's just a dog training or client highlights,
Okay.
and all those videos are nice videos to watch, and you get to see me enact, and they're shorter, more condensed, so it's
That's
not
good.
like
Do
just.
I find that through your website?
If you go to my, so you can go to my website.
And it links to your YouTube.
Correct.
Okay,
You just
good.
click on there and go to my channel, and
Okay.
then you'll see the playlists,
Perfect.
and then you just look for the highlight one.
Okay.
Because I've been trying to section them out, to make
Yeah.
it easier for people to find stuff.
Good.
But the highlight ones are new ones that I just started doing just to be more direct, where someone's not watching a 1-hour video
I understand.
and
Yeah.
having a piece
You
for
kind of get the you get the highlights.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else?
No.
This is great, Jesse.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We're-
I appreciate it.
This,
Yeah.
I think is a good, it's a good step for us.
Yeah.
So.
Looking forward to it.
We look
Yeah.
forward to working with you. If you have any questions, like I say, you let me know. Otherwise,
Okay.
we'll be in touch.
That's
Okay.
great. Okay.
Will do.
Thanks,
Okay.
Jesse.
Thanks,
Take
Jesse.
care.
Have a good rest of your weekend.
You too.